The boy adjusted his helmet. His unruly black hair was peeking out from beneath it. It was damp with sweat. His face was pale, the freckles on his nose stark against his otherwise flushed cheeks. His uniform hung loosely on his fiery frame, as if it belonged to someone larger, and his boots were scuffed, the laces fraying. And in his trembling hands he held a standard issue M4 carbine rifle. Its metallic sheen was dulled by scratches and years of dirt. He glanced at the girl, who was leaning against a crumbling wall. Her face was sharp and angular, framed by strands of dark hair that had escaped her tightly braided ponytail. Her brown eyes, tired but piercing, scanned their surroundings with a kind of practiced vigilance. The girl's uniform fit snugly, the sleeves rolled up to reveal muscular forearms streaked with grime. She held an AK-47 casually over her shoulder. The wooden stock of it was polished from years of use, contrasting the chipped paint on the barrel. A cigarette dangled lazily between her fingers, its smoke curling around her like a ghostly veil. Around them, the ruins of a small village lay silent, the calm before yet another inevitable storm. "Hey," she said, noticing him staring. "If you keep shaking like that, you'll drop your gun, and if you do, I'll shoot you myself before the enemy does." He smirked faintly, more out of nerves than amusement. "You are always this comforting?" "Only to people I like." Their orders were simple on paper. Escort the civilians to safety across a contested zone. A child clung to his mother's leg, his wide eyes darting around as if expecting danger at every corner. An older man muttered prayers under his breath, clutching a battered bag as if it held his life savings. The girl led the way, rifle slung casually over her shoulder. The boy brought up the rear, his gaze shifting between the civilians and the horizon. Every crunch of rubble underfoot felt deafening to them. You think they'll follow us?" the boy asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Not think. I know they will follow us," the girl replied. And they did. The first shot came just as they reached the outskirts of the village. Bullets rained down like a sudden storm, shattering the uneasy silence. The civilians screamed, dropping to the ground. The boy threw himself behind a broken wall, his heart hammering so loudly he thought it would give him away. The girl was already firing back. Her movements were sharp and practiced. "Keep them down," she yelled, gesturing towards the civilians. A soldier from their unit, one of the boy's very few friends, tried to run for a better cover, but unfortunately he didn't make it. He was shot in the head, and bullet obliterated his brains as he fell crumbled down on the ground. His eyes still wide open, staring at his comrade where blood gushed out from his head. The boy watched, frozen as the man fell, and a crimson stain spread all over him. "Snap out of it," the girl barked, grabbing the boy by the collar and yanking him further into cover. "You want to die too?" He shook his head, tears stinging his eyes. I can't do this." "You don't have a choice," she said, her voice softer but no less firm. Hours later, the gunfire had stopped, but the boy and the girl were trapped in the remnants of the village with the civilians. Food was scarce. their supplies either used up or destroyed in the chaos. There was nothing eatable that could be seen. The girl rummaged through the debris. Her frustration kept mounting. There's got to be something, anything. I am so hungry and so is everybody else. She looked at the boy and then looked at something and then said, "Hey, what about that?" The boy turned and saw it. It was a small, dirty pig rooting around for scrapes. "You're joking, right?" he said. She gave him a no emotion, cold look. The boy hesitated and loudly shouted, but it's haram, forbidden, and you know that clearly, right?" The girl sighed, rubbing her temples, and began. "Look, if a man is starving, truly starving, like on the brink of death, no food, no water, no damn hope left, and he has searched every damn corner of this hellish world and still can't find a scrap to eat, and the only thing standing between him and the grave is the flesh of a swine, then yes, he can eat it. And this isn't just some idea that I cooked up in my head. Hell no. This is straight from the Quran, the word of God himself. You know what? Even in the depths of hell, survival comes first." Her words hung in the air, heavy with both logic and despair. The boy nodded slowly, swallowing his doubts. All right, I'll go catch it." And he did, after an absurd chase through the rubble that had the civilians laughing despite their dire situation. The boy returned, victorious but covered in dirt, clutching his screaming pig. "You look ridiculous," the girl said, grinning for the first time in what felt like days. "I'd like to see you better," he shot back, wiping sweat from his brow. As he handed her the pig, it squealed and wriggled free, knocking over their last cigarette packet in the process. "No!" the boy yelled, diving after it. His over-dramatic dive missed the packet entirely, landing him face first in the dirt. The civilians erupted into laughter, even the child managing a giggle. Even the child managing a giggle. The girl shook her head, lighting a cigarette with her last match. "You're a walking disaster," the boy muttered. And you're smoking the last cigarette without me, right?" "Consider it payment for saving your life earlier," the girl said. Later that night, the boy and the girl shared the cigarette's faint embers, sitting side by side against a shattered wall. They got this packet from a civilian, an old farmer. The world outside was quiet now, too quiet, the kind of silence that only comes after too much loss. "Hey, do you think we'll make it out of this?" she exhaled, watching the smoke vanish into the night. "Does it matter?" "Yes, it does." "Then let's say we will." Morning came with fresh orders. Reinforcements were on their way, but the girl was needed to hold the line while the boy led the civilians to safety. "I am not leaving you here," he said, his voice firm. "You have to," she replied. "They need someone who won't trip over a pig to get them out, right?" "That's not funny." "It is a little funny." She placed a hand on his shoulder. "Look, you're really, really good at this job. But you're not invincible. Save who you can, and that is all it is about." The boy hesitated, and his chest felt some kind of tightening. "And what about you?" She smiled faintly. "I'll be fine. I have God on my side. We're doing the right thing, no?" As the boy led the civilians away, he glanced back one last time. The girl was standing tall, smiling at him, her rifle in her hand, watching over them like a guardian. Gunfire echoed in the distance as he disappeared over the horizon, her fate left to the imagination. And somewhere in the ruins, the scent of burnt food lingered, a reminder of the sacrifices made in desperate times.